Welcome back to Hollywood Bulletin. Today we uncover the extraordinary yet heartbreaking life of Frida Kahlo, a woman whose art was painted with her own blood, pain, and strength, and whose final days still remain one of the most haunting mysteries in art history. So stay tuned until the end, because her story is unlike anything you've ever heard before. Frida Kahlo passed away on July 13, 1954, but the truth behind her death was buried with her, as no autopsy was ever performed, and her nurse found 11 empty pill bottles by her bedside, even though only 7 were prescribed. Just days before, she had given Diego Rivera their anniversary ring early, saying she felt her time was coming. Her final diary entry read, "I hope the exit is joyful, and I hope never to return." Official reports called it a pulmonary embolism, but the hospital files suggest something darker. Frida Kahlo's life began with lies she told to shape her own myth. She claimed to be born in 1910, the year of the Mexican Revolution, though her real birth year was 1907. Her father, Carl Wilhelm Kahlo, was a German man who had fled his homeland after a head injury left him with seizures, and he reinvented himself in Mexico as Guillermo Kahlo. Her mother, Matilde, came from a strict Catholic family, but their home, Casa Azul, was far from peaceful. Money was scarce, Guillermo's seizures were frightening, and Matilda's grief from losing 2 sons before Frida's birth made her cold and distant. When Frida contracted polio at 6, it left her with a thinner right leg, a lifelong limp, and cruel teasing from other children. So she hid her leg with long skirts and thick stockings, retreating into imagination and art. Her father, seeing her loneliness, gave her a paint box, a gift that would define her entire destiny. By 10, she was caring for her father during his seizures, already hardened by pain. At 16, she entered the National Preparatory School in Mexico City, one of only 35 girls among 2,000 boys. There she joined a rebellious group called Los Cachuchas, who fought for revolutionary ideas and mocked authority. Her first love, Alejandro Gomez Arias, shared her fire for change, but one tragic afternoon in 1925 changed everything. On September 17th, a bus crash impaled Frida with a metal handrail that pierced her abdomen and exited through her pelvis. Her spine, leg, ribs, and collarbone were shattered, and her uterus destroyed, making her unable to have children. Doctors thought she wouldn't survive, but lying flat in bed, her mother placed a mirror above her so she could paint her own reflection. That's when Frida began to paint her reality. The pain, the loneliness, and the truth that would one day make her immortal. By 1929, she met Diego Rivera, a man twice her age, already a legend and notorious for his affairs. Frida boldly showed him her paintings, and he was stunned. They married that same year, a union her mother called the marriage between an elephant and a dove. But behind the romance came betrayal, Diego's infidelities, and Frida's physical agony. After a miscarriage in 1932, she painted Henry Ford Hospital, depicting herself bleeding on a hospital bed with red ribbons connecting her to lost dreams. Her art was not fantasy, it was pain made visible. When Diego's affair with Frida's sister Cristina broke her heart, she responded with her own love affairs, with men and women, and turned her heartbreak into masterpieces like The Two Fridas, showing her dual identity, the one Diego loved and the one he broke. She painted through surgeries, through body casts, and through endless nights of morphine. Her paintings like The Broken Column and The Wounded Deer revealed not just physical pain, but spiritual survival. In 1938, her first solo show in New York made her an international sensation. When surrealists tried to label her art as dreamlike, she said, "I never painted dreams. I painted my own reality." That reality was filled with loss, affairs, and political fire. She had a short affair with Leon Trotsky, who lived in her home while exiled. But after his assassination, she turned her devotion to Stalin and painted political themes that shocked the world. Even as her health failed, she continued to fight for the oppressed and the working class. Her body endured more than 30 surgeries, countless infections, and the amputation of her right leg in 1953 due to gangrene. Yet she turned even her prosthetic leg into art. covering it in red leather, bells, and embroidery, saying, "Legs, what do I need them for when I have wings to fly?" That same year, she attended her first solo exhibition in Mexico, arriving in an ambulance and directing guests from her bed. Her defiance turned her pain into power, but her dependence on morphine and alcohol grew deadly. By 1954, her lungs were failing. Her weight had dropped to 82 pounds, and her morphine intake had become lethal. On July the 2nd, just 11 days before her death, she defied doctors once again, showing up at a political protest in her wheelchair, holding a Dove banner, her eyes burning with determination. Days later, she gave Diego their anniversary ring early, saying she wouldn't make it to August. On July 13, 1954, she was found dead in her bed at Casa Azul, only 47 years old. Her quick cremation, missing autopsy, and the 11 painkillers by her bedside led many to believe it wasn't a natural death but a chosen one. Her funeral drew 600 mourners, and when one student replaced the Mexican flag on her coffin with a red communist flag, the crowd gasped, but it felt right for Frida. Even in death, she remained unapologetic. Diego turned their home into the Frida Kahlo Museum, her ashes kept there in a frog-shaped urn, symbolizing Diego, her beloved toad. For years, her legacy was quiet, but in the 1990s, her diaries and paintings reignited the world's fascination. Her work now sells for millions, but its real value lies in her courage to turn unbearable pain into beauty. Frida Kahlo was not just an artist, she was a revolution that never stopped burning. Her story reminds us that even in suffering, art can live forever. So if you were moved by this powerful story of pain, love, and rebellion, don't forget to subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin and press the bell icon, because we bring you the untold stories behind the faces that changed history.